Okay, so now we are in the interaction portion for our video. Woohoo! So we're halfway there, folks. Well, actually, we're damn near close. Oh yeah, we're close. So, like I mentioned before, whenever you have interactions, those actually supersede your main effects. But with our interactions, not only do we have two-way interactions, but we have three two-way interactions. We have one three-way interaction, and that interaction actually supersedes our two-way interactions. So just like I said before, as I was doing main effects, I want to go over these for illustrative purposes. So the first interaction I'm going to tackle is the interaction between gender and rudeness. So scrolling right back up to, where is it? Okay, so scrolling to our Nova portion, we see that gender and rudeness actually have a significant p-value, meaning it's less than 0.05, meaning that gender and rudeness can interact to create some form of effect on attractiveness rating. So now that we squared that away, going back down, we're going to create a line graph to show that interaction. Oh, here we are. We're going to create a line graph to show that interaction. So really quickly, I'm just going to put this was significant according to, can't spell, according to the Nova, and it was also indicated by the multi-level linear model. So like I said, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create the bones from my line graph, and this command right here lets me do that. No! Ugh. I love technology. R gives you exactly what you asked for. So this next command actually fleshes out my the bones of my line graph. So then we're going to do that. It'll take a while. So now that we, there it is. So now that we have created our line graph, we also want to get our descriptive stats for this interaction. So I'm going to run this particular function to get the different conditions for each. So essentially, overall, with this interaction is looking at the gender differences when it comes to level of rudeness. So just really quickly, looking at male participants, individuals who were male participants who had not rude dates, gave them higher attractive ratings than those who were moderately rude or just, assholes. So just looking at that really quickly, we see that for those who are not rude, you have 75.97, so 76, 69.5, so 70, and then for assholes, it's 60.3. So essentially, the trend that we're seeing with male participants is that those who were not rude were given higher ratings of attractiveness. Now let's see what it looks like for women according to descriptive stats. And this is the same trend. So for women, for female participants, those who had not rude dates gave them higher attractive ratings. Specifically, they were given 88.2 on the attractive rating scale, or as more attractive than those who were than moderately rude dates or asshole dates. And we can see that pop up here. Now the interesting thing about this particular graph is that when you look here, when you get to moderately rude, you see that both men and women give similar ratings of attractiveness for those who are moderately rude. So essentially what this looks, so the sense that we can make this from is that the levels of rudeness doesn't matter up until you get to moderately rude. Which, I mean, in the real world, that would make more sense. Because if you're just plain rude, I'm not going to see you as attractive. I'm going to just... bleh. But anyways. But even then, like, when you just, like, looking at it real quick, it's kind of squished here. But you see that same sense. So now looking at our contrast, going to scroll right up here. Where is our p-values? We are looking at, and I know it looks like it's saying just only females, but this actually does include males as well. So what this tells us in comparing lower to middle class, and just looking at the p-value really quickly, it's actually greater than 0.05. So this suggests that there is no significant differences in attractiveness ratings by levels of rudeness in accordance to gender. So basically what this means is that there are no gender differences. But however, if it was significant, then we would be saying the opposite. We would say that gender differences do exist when it comes to ratings of attractiveness for individuals, for participants who went on dates with lower class to middle class individuals. So with that, dates who were lower class would be given higher ratings of attractiveness. Hold on, let me make sure. Where am I? Ah, okay. So in a sense, middle class dates would be given lower ratings of attractiveness as opposed to lower class dates. And then when you're comparing middle class to upper class, you also see that it's non-significant. However, not even however, let's interpret that really quickly. What that means is there are no gender differences in attractiveness ratings when it comes to levels of rudeness. So essentially what it's saying is men and women give similar ratings when it comes to middle class and upper class. And we do see that. With that interaction here, well, actually, even with the last contrast that we interpreted, we do see that, because when you're looking at individuals, male and females, in their ratings of attractiveness, you see that they have that similar trend. So, in a sense, we are right in interpreting it the way it is. Men and women give similar ratings to individuals who are moderately rude, and then it goes downhill from there. So with that being said, the main picture that this paints is that the level of rudeness does have some influence on male participants and female participants. However, when it comes to moderately rude, men are more influenced by that, and women as well. So the overall picture is that there is some form of effect on the levels of there's some form of effect from levels of rudeness. However, when you're looking at those contrasts, they are non-significant. So the next interaction that I'm going to tackle is gender and class. So specifically, this is looking at the gender differences of attractiveness ratings in class, in accord to class. So just scrolling up to that ANOVA portion, we see that gender and class do have a significant p-value that's actually lower than 0.05. So I'm going to mark that here. was significant according to the ANOVA and multi-level linear model. So the first thing, like I did for the last one, I'm going to create a line graph. The first command is going to create the bones of it, and then the second command is actually going to flesh it out. And then I'm also going to get the descriptive statistics using the by and the list function just to see what's going on there. So in comparing male participants to female participants, the first thing I'm going to look at the male participants and see how they provide attractiveness ratings all across the board. So male participants who had lower class dates gave them higher ratings of attractiveness than middle class dates and upper class dates. So it appears that as class increases, or the levels of social class increase, the attractiveness ratings actually decrease. So it's possible that there is a trend here. And then there is a trend here because obviously the test told us to. For female participants, we see a similar trend in that those who were of lower class were given a higher ratings of attractiveness than those who were of middle class and upper class. And just pulling up the graph, we can see that trend. In a sense, it's actually similar to the trend that we've seen in the last interaction, in that attractiveness just all across the board decreases as you increase in class. However, here what it appears to be is that middle class is the one class where that's when it gets real for both men and women. So now pulling up those contrasts really quickly. Wish I could just type it and just reference it, but whatever. Where are we? Here we are. I think this is it. Yep, this is it. Okay. Dang. Okay, so they're both non-significant. So just to tackle this one at a time, we're going to look at the lower versus middle class. So this is actually greater than 0.05. This suggests that there aren't any gender differences in ratings when it comes to comparing lower class dates to middle class dates. So this suggests that men and women give similar ratings for the two groups. And then in looking at, if that was significant, then we would be saying the opposite. So men and women would give different ratings and attractiveness in accordance to lower and middle class. So in that case, middle class would be receiving a lower attractiveness rating than lower class. Then with the middle class versus upper, you see that once again it's also non-significant, and this suggests that there aren't any gender differences in ratings when it comes to middle and upper class. However, if it was significant, then we would be saying the opposite. Upper class dates would be given lower attractiveness ratings than hold up here. Yep. Would be given lower attractiveness ratings than individuals from dates who are of middle class. And you see that trend here. So overall, the picture that it's painting is that when you get to middle class, you see those similar ratings.